Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive, live from the Travelers in Cromwell, and we're joined by 21-year-old Luke Clanton.
Oh yeah,
his first trip here to the Travelers Championship. And first of all, welcome to Cromwell, Connecticut, and the Travelers Championship. How are you?
I appreciate it. I'm good. I'm having a good time.
All right. So when did you know you were going to come here and play?
It was about, I guess, the Thursday before we left. I remember my agent gave me a call, and we were pretty fired up. So we were super excited because if we didn't play this week, we would have been off for, I guess, 3 weeks. And to kind of get into here and play this event at this golf course is pretty amazing.
Now, we've been told about your amateur status and take people through. They say, man, this kid's been killing it on the amateur level, and you're stepping up to the PGA now this week. But before we get to the PGA stuff, tell us, why have you been so successful, do you think, lately on the amateur stuff?
I think, honestly, it's just from the experiences I had from the tour as well. Having played 13 events as an amateur helps at a time when you go back to college because you kind of get to handle yourself a little bit better and understand the situations. But I think it's just honestly the way that, my coach, Jeff Leishman, my coaching staff at FSU, Trey Jones, and, Ryan Heisey and Matt Wall, they've all prepared us for bigger moments. So kind of getting out there and, feeling that pressure and getting to those nerves is the best thing in the world. So it's fun.
How are the other players towards a younger player on tour? Are they helpful at all, or are they just oh crap, here's the guy who's going to take our job?
They are the nicest people in the world about it. They have been so welcoming.
Really?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've had a blast, honestly. I played with Minwoo Lee at Rocket Mortgage, which was my first PGA Tour event, and he was the nicest guy in the world. And he comes out to me all the time now and says hi, and I'm always still afraid to go up and say hi to him because, it's Minwoo Lee, and then play with Scotty Scheffler in a practice round, and nicest guy, and then I played with Roy McIlroy at RBC. So they've all been super nice and welcoming to the tour, and obviously the newer generation's coming out, and I've been saying this over and over. The amateur golf is so freaking good right now.
Yeah,
it is.
It's becoming unbelievable, honestly, because the win in college is really hard. So I think over the next 10 years, you're going to just see a bunch of new names out there.
All right, speak on that, though, because I know that every sport, when you go from high school to college, it's a different sport. When you go to college to pro, it's a different sport. For golf, you're not playing against anybody but yourself in the course.
Yeah.
It's not like you're physically different than everyone else on the at a football game or a basketball game. What is it, though, when you make that jump from amateur to this week? What are those differences that's man, this is a little bit different than everything else?
It's simple. It's all mental. It really is. I think at the end of the day, you can look at amateur golfers right now that are cruising at 190 ball speed and hit it, 330, but these guys out here are very experienced. They know how to handle themselves in those bigger moments and those bigger pressure moments. So, I've realized, for me, it's just learning more and more every single week. Obviously I want to come out and win and come out and win multiple times, but I know it's going to take learning experiences to kind of get to that moment. So having played now, this is my 14th event, I've kind of understand a little bit more of, the experiences of coming down that final stretch and coming down with, a couple of shots in the lead or trying to make a cut to get into contention in the weekend. So there's a bunch of things to it, and I think it's just all mental. I think if you're confident in yourself and you can do it, it gets a lot better.
Talking to Luke Clanton here at the Travelers Championship. All right, so I coach young baseball players like 16 to 18U. They like to hit tracks. They like the Rapsodo for pitching. It's all technical stuff, and I've had to learn that. I actually had to do a whole course on the machines and stuff like that. For you, how do you go from all the different technology to this, then just go back and play golf?
Yeah, I think obviously you can get really caught up in the technology, especially with golf and TrackMans and quads and all these things, but obviously it's a massive help for all of us. I think if you use it in the right proportions and the right ways, it definitely helps your golf game. But you can get caught up in it. Obviously I have in the past, and, my coach, Jeff Leishman, has done a fantastic job with me because if it wasn't for him, I'd be a nuthead with golf. So it's been amazing. Obviously I just try to get numbers and carries and ball speeds and maybe club head speed, but nothing with club path. You can get into face path, all these things. So I think I like to go out and see the golf ball more really than anything and kind of see what it's doing out there rather than just hitting on the range and hitting the same shot over and over. But obviously if you need to work something out, same thing with baseball. It's the same exact thing. So you just have to have that right mixture of technical and non-technical.
Do you have a simulator at your house?
No, we are not rich enough for that.
All right.
That's a great question.
Well, I know.
man.
Listen,
That's a great
baseball's
question.
different. I can't like throw in my house. I mean,
Yeah, but I'm sure you've done little things like in the yard that was set up nets and stuff like any
Yeah,
kind
we
of
had-
like
Yeah.
sandlot backyard
All right.
stuff.
We had a $10 net that I'd hit into with Pinnacle golf
awesome.
balls. So yeah, that was our. I guess that was our simulator.
There
I
you
love
go.
that. All right, this course, we love this place. Obviously, this is our area, so we love this place. We love the tournament directors here. They take care of you guys so well. We know about that. We know this is a signature event for you being on the PGA Tour. Great. It's awesome. But what were those things that popped in your head when you and your agent were like, I'm going to Cromwell to play in the Travelers Championship? What
Yeah.
are the things that excite you about this week?
Obviously, we're all gonna say about the money and
Hell yeah.
and how big the
Better
place is
believe
and,
it, man.
all that. It's amazing. I'm never gonna say it's not. But again, I play golf to compete. I'm always going to say that, and I'm always will go by that. It's amazing to compete for a bunch of money and maybe get a new car or whatever it is. But to me, it's going out and playing against the best players in the world. So I'm so excited to come out here and compete against Scotty Scheffler and Roy McIlroy and all these guys and be able to have a chance to go out and beat them. So it's just amazing to have the opportunity and amazing to be able to play against these guys.
I know, Luke, a couple of years ago they started with the no cut here at the Travelers. Do you like that? Is that less pressure on you, or is it like, okay, I don't want to think about that the first couple of rounds?
We made a joke saying it's going to be my first made cut as a pro, so we're pretty excited about it.
Hell yeah.
No, it's nice. It's nice to come out and know that you can, if you're not playing well the first day, you still have a chance to kind of come back the next 3 days. So. Obviously, I do like the cut because it kind of applies a little bit more pressure those first 2 days and makes you more intent with what you want to do. So I think, but I'll definitely take the no cut this week for sure.
Luke, talk about your team. If I was to do this at the age of 21, man, I don't know who I'd have. I feel like I'd have to have an army of support on me at every one of these tournaments. But talk about who you have along your side, whether it's coaches or whether it's family.
Yeah, I have. My swing coach and my mental coach, Jeff Leishman, which he's been working with me for 5 years now, almost 6 years. I have a fantastic agent, Ben Walter. He's right over there, standing over there. So just to make sure.
You got to say that, right?
Yeah, I got to say it out loud.
Plug.
No, he's been incredible. He took a chance on me when I was 17 years old, 18 years
Great.
old, and I was pretty good at golf, but I wasn't anywhere where it is now. And he kind of told me the game plan of everything that was going to happen with the PGA Tour Accelerated and everything to get my card, and then obviously my caddy. I met him 3 years ago, and he's never caddied for anybody else, and he never caddied really before except for his daughters. So
How did that work? How did that relationship get started?
I'll do the short story on this one. We were at the North and South Am, which is an amateur event in Pinehurst, and I was on the backside of the range, and I remember I was hitting balls, and his little daughter walked up to me and said, "How far I hit my pitching wedge?" And I said, "It's 145." And he comes over and he goes, "Hey, you got a caddy this week." And I had this older gentleman that was about 80 years old that was going to push my golf cart for 2 days. and
What,
stroke
they
putt.
gave it to you from Pinehurst?
No,
guy?
No.
Okay.
He was a friend of ours.
Okay.
So I was like, he's not going to caddy a match play. He's like, if you want to win the tournament, I'll caddy for you. So I said, whoa. I was like, you need to slow down a little bit there. I don't know who you are, but whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. So we, the next couple of days, I make match play, and we've been texting on Instagram a little bit, and I said, hey, my tee time's 6:50. Super early in the morning. I'm not expecting him. He didn't even respond. So the next morning, I wake up at like 5:20. I walk out to the golf course to get, work on or whatever, and I see him on the range with a towel in his back pocket. I never spoke to him, never really met him, and we clicked right away. We went on to win that week, and it was amazing. But then the best part was the end of the tournament. We're at the ceremony, giving my speech, and I didn't see him there. So I texted him after the speech, and I said, dude, where are you at? Like, let's go celebrate this thing. He goes, I'm caddying for my daughter. And he caddied for his daughter that was a 10-year-old or 9-year-old girl at the time that was just playing a little 9-hole event. And I remember I drove over there, and I said, this is why I want you on my bag, not because you're just a good caddy, but you're a good father and you have good morals.
Aww.
So, yeah, it's a little bit of a sweetheart story, but he is, don't get it wrong, he is sometimes a little bit, of a pretty mean guy, but he's a fun dude to be around. He's a great guy to travel with. He's 6'7", great guy. He's
so he can see
he can see everything. He also
contour the land a
yep.
lot better.
6'7". I wish I was 6'7".
He can
That's
he can
huge.
beat up anybody you need. So
Right.
It's,
There you
it's
go.
really nice. It's nice to have a
Quasi bodyguard.
Yeah, it's nice to
Yeah.
have a bodyguard. So it's he's a good dude, and I wouldn't change for anybody else.
Man, I'm rooting for you this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Listen, we
appreciate
had
it.
Ches Reeve on here a couple years ago. He won the
We're
tournament.
good luck,
so
man.
We're kind of good luck.
We are good
I like
luck.
that.
There
I
you
like that.
go.
I like the sound of that. For
Luke,
sure.
have a great weekend, and thanks for coming on with us.
I appreciate it. Thank
All
you
right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back live from Cromwell.